Hey guys, welcome back. I made some changes in my sump to see if I can keep it a little cleaner than I had it before. And I added some new modifications here. I moved my sand filter over instead of having it in a back wall. And this time I took one of my reactor chambers and I made a K1 media Kaldness reactor, so to speak. I just started it now. It's only been up about 30 minutes, so it's going to take a while for the bacteria to really stick on the plastic. But this is an above water level setup. Typically these are below the water level, and the way I did this was I ran a small 180 Rio on there and pumped it into a hose line behind it, so that way it's getting water in there to stay fully submerged and not just drop to the water level. These reactors have two outlets, as you can see, and I ran the other outlet into a micro sock DIY thing I made here. Just to filter out the water a little more. I've got all of my outputs going from the sand filter, because the input is right there, into the Dannon pump, and it is feeding my reactor chamber the water from this particular area, this chamber, and it feeds it in there, and then it pumps down into the bottom of the 1-inch pipe, pushing it, blasting it against the sand, and the sand, of course, doing its job, cutting up any debris and building some beneficial bacteria there. So since this is not a tall sand filter and it's relatively short, I had to install a very loosely filter pad there that can still let water pass through, because we don't want to restrict any water flow through there. So it's very, very well ventilated. You can see that water's passing through there. And the reason I did that was just to help keep the sand down, so I'm not losing sand being pushed out into the hoses. Before I had the hoses just hitting the floor, but over time I saw some sand building up there, and now the sand is going through the micron socks. If any sand will go through, mostly it shouldn't have that problem anymore with that pad there though. So the micron socks, as you can see what's going on here, I have the sand filters doing their job and pouring into here, and then I have the K1 media also. It's a small Rio 180 there, pumping into here, giving it the water supply above the water level, and then the output is going into this micron right here. I took it a step further and I added another pump here just to keep this area absolutely clean, because of course this is the return line to send the water back up to the fish tank. So to keep this chamber absolutely clean, I added another small pump there to filter out any water, and then that of course feeds right into the micron there. So a lot of extra polishing going on here within these last two chambers. And so I'm going to try this out and see how this works out for a while, and decide if I need to make any more changes along the way. But I'm going to give it some time to see what happens with this K1 media. And to see, watch it start tumbling. The rest of my other half of my filter media hasn't changed much. I still have my trays there. Three trays here. That's the first two trays is where I have my polishing pads And the second and third tray is where I have the little bio balls. And these are pretty nice because they come with the sponges inside of them. So these are really nice. I'm giving them a try. I've had them in there for a while. And so I have these in the first and second tray, and then I come down. I still have my pot scrubbies, but they're way in the bottom here. I got a light baffle diffuser holding them down. Some lava rock here, and then ceramics. I got it going all the way down. I still have my big bio wheel, and that's being fed directly from my drain lines coming into here. And of course it has its own 3 pads as well before it feeds out into the bio wheel. About a week ago I had the bio wheel was like finally breaking down because the plastic guard on there was just I guess it just gave way, the plastic. So I was finding this grid debris all over in the water and on the sponges, on the sponge walls and whatnot. So I had to take it out. The sponge internally in the wheel was still good, but the grid around it was just deteriorating. So I took it apart and wrapped some gutter guard around it, and looks like it's working pretty well. Back to business. I guess these Tide Pool bio balls have a life expectancy for those plastics to start breaking down, so it's just a matter of getting around that and replacing it with a new grid on there so that the water will push down and collect bacteria on the weight. So everything is good there. The ceramics are all the way down, and like I said, underneath this I have a light baffle. That's what's compressing all the pot scrubbies on below this, and then it just goes down into my 2 more sponge checks, these wall sponges. This is a output from the sand filter, so that I'm not blasting the sand too much. I got a lever on there where I can control how much water flow I want. And that's pretty much it with my filter. You can see I keep my water pretty pristine. These are the 2 most dirtiest compartments here that collect the most of the debris. And keep it pretty clean. So no other changes I've been making on this. That's pretty much it. These 2 compartments have been pretty much the same. It's just these 2 compartments here is where I made some changes at, just to keep the water a little more pristine than I had it. So we're gonna try this out, guys, and see how this works out. But that is the recent changes I made, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that K1 media is going to do above the water line. I've never tried a setup like this before, and we're going to see how this works out. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I'll keep you guys updated.